is the Conservative Colonel Podcast with Harrison Dawes, where one man stands against the rising tide of liberalism. This officer in the battle to preserve our nation is the Conservative Colonel.
Nothing ends here. Our hopes and our journeys continue.
And here's Harrison Dawes.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Conservative Colonel Podcast. I'm your host, Harrison Dawes. We are coming to you from Wayne County, Mississippi. I hope everybody's having a good week. I'm having a good week, but a stressful week, if that makes sense. Golly, I love history, but some of the people that you'll work with in that world can sometimes be challenging, to say the least. I had a full day Thursday, so not getting to this until Friday night because I also had a full day Friday. Really, it's Saturday at 3 a.m. So this will be going up as soon as I get done to make sure y'all get this week's episode out. And I will be carving time either Tuesday or Wednesday and forcing myself to have time to record to get these episodes coming back out on Thursdays. But I didn't want to just kind of stop and take a breather and enjoy it, because I do enjoy doing this. I have a great time filming this podcast or recording this podcast. And we have a TikTok now. So, yeah, go to conservativecolonel.com. Almost anywhere, I suppose. But if you hit the homepage, just scroll down to check out our social medias. You can see the TikTok symbol, and we're there. And we're posting shorts from episode 19 right now. Had a lot of great shorts from that episode. So we're getting those out there. So we hope you go support us there. Support him on Facebook as well. Some of the shorter ones, under a minute, are being posted on YouTube as well. So make sure to check those out. Support the page and all that good stuff. So, before I get into it, because I do have some news that I'm more likely going to get fired up about. What's new? Make sure to check us out on your podcatcher of choice. Our main platform is Spreaker, but we're also on Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music and Audible, Spotify, Cashbox, Deezer, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, Listen Notes, and Good Pods. And for those who want to see it, we release the video format on the show on Tuesdays. You will get Rumble and YouTube. So if you're listening to us, or let me put it like this. So if you want to see the video format, we release on Tuesdays. If you listen to the audio, you get it a couple days, or our new episodes a couple days early on Thursdays. So, or hopefully. I've not been the best when it's been come to consistency the past couple weeks. And I knew summer was going to be a bit rough. I'm a traveling historian, so I travel all across the state giving speeches, cleaning cemeteries, trying to help people raise money for projects, stuff like that. I don't get paid to do it, but it's my passion in life. I know people are shocked, but that's probably one of my number one passions in life. Actually, no, I will say that is my number one passion, tied with, of course, my family and my farm. Not counting the fact that, I am a Christian, so that comes above all. But I do politics. I enjoy the people in politics. But I am also a big believer of the conservative values, hence why I'm doing this show. And I just feel like our country's in a place now where if people don't stand up and do something, it's not going to end well. that I will be leaving something awful for my kids and grandkids. The same reason I preserve history, so they have it. But I mean, at this rate, and we'll talk about this later on the show, the destruction of history in this country, oh, it pisses me off. Y'all should have saw me in 2020 during the riots. I was pissed. If it wasn't for COVID and the fact that I was taking care of my family, I probably would have went out there and done something stupid. Youth and stupidity go together like peanut butter and jelly. So thankfully, because of my responsibilities, I stayed home. But yeah, so while I enjoy the people, and I definitely enjoy doing the podcast, politics is probably a close second passion of my life, simply because I do it out of the need of duty in my heart to stand up for what I believe in. And the fact of the matter is, if I don't do it, I don't know if I'll be able to look myself in the mirror a couple years from now, especially if things keep going the way they are. So this is how I contribute. This is how I help. So please share this podcast out. Leave us a 5-star review. And I guess it's time to get into some news. We do have the 25th episode of the Conservative Colonel podcast coming out July 4th at 9 a.m. I will have independent historian and author Ryan S. Walters on to talk about Jeffersonian conservatism. Is that real conservatism? As many of you know, I am what I call a Jeffersonian conservative. Basically, it means I'm not a rhino. I'm more in line what the Conservative Party was and is supposed to be, or what the Republicans say they are and what the Conservative Party used to be. Yeah. I'm almost to the point where I would say I don't know if we've actually really ever had a party at this rate. We've had great people stand up, but there's even been a great conservative in the Democratic Party, which I know will blow some of y'all's minds. But we might talk about that at a later date, hopefully. But so yeah, go support us there. But we're going to start off with some light news because this is pretty cool. For those who know, my favorite sport is basketball. That was probably, if I was good at it, I would still be trying to play it somewhere now. I love it. Playing it is just, it's something special, especially when I was in shape. Now I look like a dying middle-aged father out on the court, even though I'm only 25. But the Boston Celtics won their 18th NBA championship this past week. And for those who don't know, I'm a fan of a couple basketball organizations, but I definitely became a Celtics fan because of a lot of Larry Bird videos I watched growing up and a lot of his documentaries. I love Larry Bird. I put him in the top 3 basketball players of all time. Michael Jordan's first. Come on. Only an idiot would say LeBron. That actually might be my most controversial statement so far, but wait until that 25th episode. But Coach Joe, while everybody else was wearing a championship t-shirt, which they have earned, I'm not knocking them. They were Christians who were wearing it. A lot of the players thanked the good Lord for letting them win and meeting these people and giving them the hard times to get them ready for the good times. I'm not knocking on them, but there is something special about the fact that Coach Joe wore, but first let me thank God shirt. And I think later on he did put on a championship shirt, but I mean, he was doing what that shirt was saying, before he went and celebrated the championship, while the interviews were still going, before he actually celebrated it with his team with a good cigar. And, I'm not a wine guy, but I definitely understand it. Popping some wine for some special occasions just to spray on everybody. I've done that before. But, he wore that shirt and, he didn't really have to say anything. I think he's a man of little words, considering what I heard in the interview. He was more of just thumbs up in it, which was just absolutely hilarious. I loved that. But that kind of warmed my heart to see that returning to basketball because I might talk about this at a later date, but the Major League Baseball, I just got into baseball. For me, it's probably basketball, football, baseball. But I do enjoy it, and I'm a Chicago Cubs fan. Ironically enough, someone from Mississippi who has a lot of state pride. Uh, I am, for some reason, a Chicago Cubs fan. I guess that comes from my father always watching Cubs game when he grew up, and the occasional Yankees game. I know the horror, but he took me a couple years ago to watch the Cubs play, and I'm old school. I'm traditions. Uh, if that's not obvious, I was president of the Colonel Red Foundation, hence the name of the show. But they have a very old school vibe with their stadium, just the presentation of it all, and I love it. But it does make me happy in a world where Major League Sports is not a getaway from our problems. Sports is not a political platform. If you want to be a politician, if you want to talk about politics as an athlete, okay, move into politics, but retire from the sport. You only play usually until your 30s anyway. If you're some crazy athlete like, I will give LeBron that credit. Some crazy athlete like LeBron, you can do it into your late 30s, but I mean, you still have the whole rest of your life left. That's when you do it. That's when you can be like, okay, I have a platform. Let's see what I can do with that platform. And I'm okay with that at that point. But what I'm not okay with is sports being this far left political valley cry all of a sudden. I mean, they're not even hiding it. It's all left leaning. But yeah, the Chicago Cubs, I had to turn off a game and not watch it because it was Pride Month. And as a Christian, I can't support that. Now, as an American and as a conservative, I will always say you have the right to do whatever you want in this country. If you want to dress up like a bird and think you can fly, yeah, sure. I might get in trouble for that, actually. If you want to identify as an attack helicopter, be an attack helicopter, but don't make me tell you you're an attack helicopter. And again, if it was, how do I want to put this? If a person wants to celebrate that, again, go ahead. I'm not a fan of you shoving it down our throats, but that doesn't mean you can't celebrate who you are. Again, I'm a conservative. I personally think most conservatives just want to be left alone and they don't care what you do. So when the government, when businesses that don't support it overseas, mind you, and all these other companies just act like they give a crap about it, it kind of pisses me off. So the Chicago Cubs did their Pride Night, and the MLB a couple years ago realized, or I thought they realized the stupidity of this when they posted the dead gum rainbow logo, and it got so much hate. And it got so much hate again this year, but they didn't really necessarily over promote it. They just gave it a night, which if you're going, which I would prefer is, yeah, okay, fine, have a night. But I don't see you doing that for straight Christian males. Pretty hated group right now. Am I right? Hi. But it just bothers me. Mainly because I am a Christian. I do have my political views, but my godly views will always triumph that. And, I can't okay that. Again, if you want to live it, go ahead. But it just seems like we're politicizing things that don't need to be politicized. Shows are overdoing it for representation, they say. And it's so weird because it's only a couple percentage of the population, but every show would make you think that there's one around every corner. But, again, I'm I just don't want it in sports, honestly. I would rather companies stay out of it unless they're going to celebrate everything. I'll throw this one at you because we have it here in Mississippi. You know, for the descendants, or no, for a man. So in Mississippi, we have Robert E. Lee Day. Oh, this is I'm about to piss people off. If a business wants to celebrate Robert E. Lee Day, go ahead, celebrate Martin Luther King Day too. See, I framed it like that so you would understand my opinion on it. If you're going to celebrate one holiday for a group of people, you need to be celebrating all of them. And you can't really do that, honestly. And I've already talked about this on the show. It pisses me off because Pride Month, there's like 400 days for it. The 400 days. You can tell how late it is. There's like a crap ton of days that celebrate that. Like they break them down. And then it's just like Pride Week, Pride Day, Trans Day, or whatever crap they're pushing now. There's so many of them. Joe Biden even released one on Easter this year. Like they have enough. You're neglecting the rest of the population for this little section to make you seem cool and hip and fun. And it's stupid. I don't like it. If a person wants to do that, if there's enough in the community for a parade, have at it. I don't care. But it's just when it's shoved down my throat. You don't see me going around shoving history books down people's throat. I wait for the people who are interested in it to come to me. It's just weird. And so I do find it very refreshing for once in a major league sport. We're not getting something shoved down our throat. We're just getting a man praising the good Lord and then going to celebrate his win. And not really focusing on the craziness of it all. And I can't say how much I appreciate that. I hope sports realize that people just want to watch to get away. I don't want my political views thrown up on sports. Religion's a different matter. But political opinions? No. Sports is supposed to unite people that could be divided over those issues. I have a friend who is a liberal. God bless her soul. I wonder if she listens to this. And me and her talk occasionally on politics. And me and her both agree, we used to watch basketball games together. And she was like, dude, I miss the days where people of all backgrounds, races, and religions could get together and enjoy a basketball game or enjoy a football game or enjoy a baseball game. And I have to admit, I do too. Like, sports just has the ability to unite like nobody's business. And they're overly political when it's kind of, I'm not going to see President Trump. Just go shake the guy's hand. I wouldn't be thrilled about going to see Joe Biden. I'd be in the back of the row for that picture. I would go and I would leave pretty quickly. I'd shake his hand. I mean, he wouldn't know I'd be shaking his hand. That's a good news. I mean, Joe's going to forget about it tomorrow. But they're throwing their political beliefs where it doesn't want, or if you like LeBron just blasting and trying to make China sound awesome, which never fails to make me laugh. It's just, it's gotten all too political. And in a world where I feel like we have enough things dividing us, it would be refreshing to have something that's not dividing us. Because make no mistake, one of the basis of conservatism is, you do your thing, I'll do my thing. The government's not involved in any of this crap. Businesses aren't. It's your life. Go live it. We don't care. That's a shocking thing, isn't it? We don't care. Just go do it. Just don't drag us into it. That's really one of the amazing things about conservatism is we're a lot more open to people with different beliefs than you think. You know, yeah, we're Second Amendment people. You know, free speech, freedom of religion. We're not the bad guys that the liberals paint us out to be. This intolerant group of people that hate everybody. You know, I think I'm pretty understanding. You know, or I try to be. But that's something that I cannot believe politics has corrupted as sports. It blows my mind. But I'm about to get fired up, and there's way more stories to get to today, or two more. Both of them are going to get me fired up. I'm going to go ahead. I was going to do this last, but I can save the last portion of the show for this. But sticking with companies sticking their head where it doesn't belong. Tyson Foods. Oh my gosh, have they gotten into some crap? They face criticism first for hiring illegal immigrants over Americans. Now, notice it doesn't say white Americans, black Americans, Asian Americans. It just says Americans because the other people are illegal. It doesn't matter if you're an immigrant. If you come over this country legally, you're an American now. But when you come over here legally, you're, even if you're a good person, you can have negative consequences in doing that. Now, we've already talked about this past show where, every good person that comes over illegally, there are 2 or 3 bad people, and they're making all the other people look bad. I've said it before. Our immigration system needs work. Oh my gosh. One of my friends who is an immigrant from Mexico, my liberal friend, actually, me and her talk. She's like, you don't know this, but y'all's system definitely needs some fixing. And I was like, I can agree with that. But what I can agree with is illegal immigration. And she agreed with me. She's like, it sucks that people feel like they have to do that, but it sucks even more that we're letting people that we were trying to get away from. And that really makes you sit there and think, doesn't it? People that they were running from, the drugs, the murderers, the killers, the R word. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that without having to title explicit on my podcast. And I'm not doing that until I bring on someone that's just going to cuss up a storm anyway. But the murder rates are through the roof. The fentanyl's coming through. It's crazy, but they're putting over illegal immigrants over hardworking Americans that are trying to come and get a job. But that's not what I was going to talk about. That's just a taste of the iceberg. So they released a t-shirt that has Juneteenth, and then above it, scratched out 4th of July. And it says Juneteenth is my Independence Day. Or Freedom Day or Independent. There's a couple of shirts, but it pisses me off. Oh my gosh, it pisses me off. And Jack talked about this, so I'm not going to just deep dive into this. Also, I mean, let's be honest. I'm going to get myself canceled all over this show. I already got canceled for saying Robert E. Lee. Wait till that 25th episode. That's the episode that makes sure I never get a job at a liberal company. That's the final nail in the coffin, I think. But this show right here, or this crap right here, July 4th is Independence Day for all Americans, Freedom Day for all Americans. Now, I do understand where Black Americans are coming from with this. But if you want to get technical, y'all y'all's freedom wasn't with the Gettysburg Address; it was with the 13th Amendment. Just going to throw that out there first. But second, we're just dividing ourselves even more, and it's over nothing. You have these companies, these major corporations. You got a white guy celebrating Juneteenth, and you're sitting there and you're looking at the poor white boy, and you're like, why? This has nothing to even do with you. Again, conservatives don't care what you do as long as you leave them alone. If you want to celebrate Juneteenth, go ahead. Do I think it's a crazy holiday we didn't really need? Yes. Do I not like the fact that they're trying to say that this isn't our Independence Day? This is the new Independence Day, or this is their Independence Day? No, I don't like that either. Yeah, it says Juneteenth is our Independence Day. I'm looking at some of the other ones now. Yeah. And it's just diving us into more and more and more division. And it just, it's so sad to see that this is what it's coming to. And again, this is a holiday that's just a couple years old. Now, I think people in Texas celebrated it because Juneteenth goes back to Texas. People get confused about it. Some people say, they're going by, the year because of the Gettysburg Address, which makes no sense to me. that was the year before, buddy. But they're going back to Texas, where slaves learned that they were free, and slavery was an awful thing, awful sin that we inherited from the old world. That we did, in my opinion, let it live longer than it needed to. It needed to be killed as quickly as possible. And our founders did struggle with that. Now, everybody will always blame the South. They didn't want to get rid of it. No one truly did as the bad thing. There's dirt on all our hands, or all their hands on that one. I'm not one to defend someone that doesn't need defending. While I think our founding fathers were great men, they were still men and made mistakes. And that was one of them. And it's a sad thing. And a lot of them, like Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, talked about in their later lives that, that we had the opportunity and we didn't do it. It's both Southerners, by the way. But it's just, if you're African American that wants to celebrate Juneteenth, that's okay. I don't have a problem with it. Now, businesses closing, again, companies and stuff getting involved in crap like that, I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. If you yourself want to celebrate, I don't know why a white guy's getting off for Juneteenth. Doesn't make sense to me, does it? Shouldn't make sense to y'all. If y'all want a specific holiday for a group of people, okay. I could go on a rant on specific holidays, the good, the bad, but okay, yeah, go ahead, fine. But to try to say that July 4th isn't Freedom Day for all of us is bullcrap, honestly. July 4th is one of the most historical days in the world, where a constitutional republic was founded that put freedom over the government, that put the people over the government, something the world has not truly fully seen. What we were doing, the American experiment, free and independent states, that was outrageous at the time. In a world of monarchs and empires, where there was some freedom, yes. I'm not saying America invented freedom, but we are probably one of the best to do it, if not the best, especially in the modern world. A lot of people are modeled after us. And we started a chain reaction with a lot of monarchs, empires aren't no longer around. Now, I know there's still some out there, but I'm digressing. That's an important day. The day that we declared all men are created equal and deserve their inalienable rights, which is freedom. And that's something we should all hold dear. That's something that generations before us, everybody of all religion, races, and backgrounds celebrated. And that's why we need to get back to it. I'm not a nationalist by any means, but celebrating the good we've done shouldn't be. But yeah, what we didn't. Yes, we didn't. I understand that. But we were experiments. We did not know. We were victim of the times. And sadly, there's still slavery in the world today. It was there back then. It is still here today. But we gave a country and are making a country that should be getting better every year. We're regressing right now, but there's still the hope that we can get better. And this stuff like this just it serves nothing more than to divide us. Again, if a group of people have a holiday, have at it. There are holidays for people from a certain region, people of certain religions, stuff, all that. But when you start trying to put it above others, I just don't get it. But Juneteenth and I are always going to have a weird relationship, considering it came out when I was already alive. Again, I don't understand why white people are celebrating it, or any other people other than the African American community. Again, that's theirs. Have at it. Go full steam ahead. But yeah, I want to talk about this. It's just weird to me. I couldn't go to the post office, or I still had to go to work. I'm self-employed. I had to work. But federal businesses are getting off holidays. Jack described it a bit better, or a lot better, on his show. I would recommend go see his morning coffee on this. I didn't mean to actually spend this much time talking about it. I just wanted to kind of touch on it. But when we come back from our quick commercial break, we're going to talk about some news coming out of Jackson, Mississippi. Yes, we have news from Mississippi. I've been covering national news for so long, I never knew if I was going to be able to do this again. So I'm going to take a quick commercial break and get right back to it. Welcome back. This is about to be a good one. So if you thought I was going to piss people off with the last two parts of this episode, don't worry. I'm about to make it worse. So the city of Jackson now wants to move the city's namesake statue of President Andrew Jackson. So they do plan on removing the statue that currently sits in front of their city hall. Again, of Andrew Jackson, the man that Jackson, Mississippi is named after. And I'm reading an article from, surprisingly, the Magnolia Tribune, and it's from State Auditor Shade White. Now, I'm not going to go into everything with him. I think he's been decent, or pretty good. I haven't really digged into him, but I do remember there was something a couple years ago, I think, that he pissed me off on. I honestly Would have to go back through my notes, but let's be honest, I'll find a reason. But why not rename Washington, D.C., tear down the monument, Washington Monument? He makes a good point. Where does this historical destruction end? And he makes a good point here. I do want to talk about. We're all attacking this man because, he was a bad person. He made mistakes. He was a victim of the times. I want to get that through your head. A victim of the times is someone who fails because of beliefs of that time, bigotry of that time, racist thoughts of that time. That does make them a bad person. That makes them a victim of the times. Talk about Robert E. Lee at the beginning of this podcast, and I'm about to piss people off big time. I like Robert E. Lee. I think he was a good man. Was he flawed? Yes. He looked down on the African-American race. He did. But so did Abraham Lincoln. So did a lot of people that everybody still considers a hero. Abraham Lincoln said some downright racist stuff. Bad. And then you have Robert E. Lee, who did communion with a recently freed African American. But this bigotry is going after, Andrew Jackson does have a lot of flaws you can point out. I'm not denying that, but he makes a good point. Where does this end? Even civil rights heroes had their flaws. I remember someone told me, and I haven't really researched this because I don't care. I still think he's a good man. Martin Luther King Jr. He committed adultery. Okay, yeah, that's bad. But he also fought for equal rights, which is great. His dream of a colorblind world is something I still hope to see one day. And liberals, you aren't fighting for that. You're fighting for a color-focused world. I wish people would get that through their heads. But he makes a good point. Even these heroes that people still hold in regard from just a couple years ago, by historical standards, are flawed because they're human. I hate to tell you, I am a flawed individual. If you know me personally, I'm about to wrap myself out here like my family doesn't listen to the show or people from my church, but I have a bad problem when it comes to cussing. If you're around me from a certain long time, you're going to hear me say a couple. And if we get close as friends, you're going to hear me say a lot. That's one of my personal flaws I try to fight as a Christian. I say a lot of cuss words. Honestly, I had to make the decision to keep this show clean because I knew if I made it quote unquote PG-13, or it is PG-13, if I made it more rated R where I could cuss, it would be non-ending. That's my flaw. Martin Luther King Jr. had a flaw of committing adultery. Again, I haven't really digged into this, but someone did bring it to my attention, and more people are talking about it now. Actually, I want to replace that with a reverend. Something that I think he deserves a lot more respect on is he was a pastor. And again, he was a pastor, but even he had flaws. My pastor has flaws. I love my pastor. Flaws. I don't know what they are, but he has them. And, this article, and I posted on the page, and I might talk about it again now on the website a bit later. But they're just mad at Andrew Jackson because he had faults. Yes, he had faults, but he was still a good man. Someone I think that does deserve to be remembered and honored. Now, yeah, I disagree with some things politically with him. I do. I disagree with some of the stuff he did. I do. But he still was a good man. And as a historian, wiping out history is stupid. I hate the destruction of Confederate monuments. Shocker. That's not politically correct. I'm going to have Republicans calling me to ask me to delete this show. Guaranteed. I will have Republicans call me to ask me to cancel the show. You have just shot any political future you have down. This show is dead in the water. You're not going to get liked. I am an honest person. I told you all that at the beginning of the show. I was going to piss everybody off. And I don't care because I'm standing up for what I believe. I'm defending true conservative values. I think it's stupid that we attack monuments. They're two veterans. I could go into all the reasons why their arguments on the destruction of these monuments are stupid. That is an episode long down the road when I'm ready to completely shoot my show in the head. If you ever realize when I'm trying to get away from the show, I'm doing that episode or by asks, baby. But it's stupid. What are we going to do? Change the name of Jackson? What, to Dumpsterville? Because I love my state, but the liberal-controlled city of Jackson has made that place a dump. Unlivable, almost. I have friends that work in Jackson that wouldn't be caught dead living in Jackson. And that's a sad thing. The homeless people problem, the drug problem, the crime problem. Jackson seems all too confident in not doing a dead gum thing with that. But we're going to focus on Andrew Jackson. Okay. Tax dollars well spent. What about that water issue we had a couple years ago? Is that fully fixed? Are y'all still asking for the state to come in and help you with that? Are you going to ask the state to come in and help you with this? Because it seems like you don't have enough money to do anything. Because you... But... the city of Jackson, they've attacked names of schools, military bases, and all these other things. And where does it end? You know, Jackson hated the Bank of America, which I do agree with him on that. But they have not taken the time to think about what this man actually did. They're focusing on the bad. And yes, there is bad. The Trail of Tears? Oh my gosh. Native Americans got screwed in this country. That is a flaw of ours. That is. I'm a historian. I've spent my whole life studying American history. And I still think we're the greatest country in the world. We have flaws, but every country has flaws. We have bad, dark moments in history, but every country has those. And I think we have handled them, some poorly, some better, getting better with time. Until now, where we're regressing. But, he talks about, I doubt these liberals have taken the opportunity to actually think about Jackson's legacy. And that's when he talked about, the Bank of America, which was the federal government once again getting involved in something they shouldn't have. This is something I do want to. This is a barn fire, and I'm not going to use it the way he used, because he does go into men playing in women's sports, which is stupid. But this is a bonfire. We let them light the match to destroy history. Oh, well, that's just Confederate history. Okay. Let's destroy that. Okay, well, what's next? Well, the Founding Fathers don't look their hands aren't clean. Andrew Jackson, his hands ain't clean. They're going to destroy from 2024 to all the way back at some point. Even the civil rights heroes aren't going to be free from this. When are they going to start tearing down statues? Streets of names with Reverend Martin Luther King Jr.'s name on it. People think I'm crazy, but we never thought they would attack the Founding Fathers. We wouldn't think they would lie about our history straight to our face like we're all uneducated idiots, but they have. They've tried to rewrite history, burying documents that don't fit their opinions. You'll hear me talk about this on the 25th episode of Ryan Walters. Becoming an academic historian these days basically means you're not a historian, because you're going to go with your viewpoint. You're not taught that you're supposed to step out of your day, your year, 2024, and step in the foot of someone in 1776 when you're studying that time. Because things and perceptions change. We didn't know cigarettes cause cancer. Everybody smoked them things like they were going out of style. But now that we've learned, some people have cut back, not everybody. And 100 years down the road, say we cut out cigarettes, and that form of death is gone. People are probably going to be criticizing us for being like, they knew this caused cancer and they still smoked it. But we allowed them to start destroying some of our history because it was like, oh, okay, well, no, that's fine as long as they don't touch these guys over here. Well, now the fire is spreading. The barn's down, it's coming to the house. And it's stupid. I hate with a burning passion the destruction of history. That's why defending history is my number one passion. I go, as I said earlier this show, I go all around the state of Mississippi and sometimes to different states trying to defend history. I've dedicated the last 6 years of my life is when I started when I was 19, because I didn't see it before then. I was horrored to see the early stages of the destruction of history at 19. And I just meaning the early stages of the founding fathers being attacked. Let's not even go into all of American history. But the barn is spreading. The fire at the barn has spread to the house. And now the house is catching on fire. And finally, people are starting to wake up that you cannot judge these people with today's eyes. Hindsight is 2020. Living a couple, maybe even centuries after something happened, yeah, you have some right and some room to judge. People kind of forget that this country is coming up on its 250th Independence Day, if I'm not mistaken. I might have the chance to live to the 300th anniversary of our independence. Now, our government was started a decade down the road, if I'm not mistaken, maybe even later. No, it was about a decade. But the day we celebrate is our independence, 1776. Because that day means more than the founding of our government here. That should tell you something. But this is what pisses me off. Stuff like this. And let me just go, cultural Marxism. Yeah, that's a great. He's comparing us to China that, destroyed their culture. Communists are renaming roads, destroying historical sites, taking out bodies of dead figures from where their final resting place is and moving them somewhere else so they don't offend them there. Their dead body is offending them. Their final resting place. We are violating a place where people mourned, come to show respect, a place that should be honored and respected. Because you don't agree with that person, because they were controversial, because they made bad decisions 200 years after you were even born. The horror. The horror. The stupidity of the left is at max volume on a scale to 1 to 10. It is a 15. And moving up every day. You ask why I am so passionate about history, why I'm so passionate about politics. This stuff is the spark that got me involved. Because if they can attack this, what else are they going to attack? Our freedoms is not far behind. Heck, they're being attacked already. Rigging political elections. Weaponizing the justice system. trying to cancel someone because they just hurt your feelings. People don't realize that it can all tie back to the destruction of our history. For a country that doesn't learn from their history is doomed to repeat it. But the people that destroy your history is trying to make sure you repeat it. And I don't know what part of our history they're trying to make us repeat or forget about. Maybe the whole almost 250 years of us not wanting to trust the government, that the government shouldn't have all the power, that we're not a democracy, that we are almost this empire now, where only select people get to have control over everything. And they just give you a taste of control. When we, the people, are supposed to be in control of this government. That's what they're trying to do, I think. But, and here he says, we need to stop this before it gets out of hand. It's already out of hand. We're attacking George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, so many other things, so many other historical figures. And he's like, these historical statues should not be moved under specific circumstances in the law. I don't think they should be moved at all. But the city of Jackson apparently has already decided to move the statue without taking the steps and considering the historical implications of moving the statue of the city's namesake. As state orders, this is him just trying to make sure he gets reelected, I suppose. But that's how bad we are, that people today think they are good, 100% good, that nothing in the world they're doing is wrong. Killing babies, it's okay. Smoking cigarettes, it's okay. I won't get cancer. I love that analogy. Again, 100 years from now, people are going to think we were idiots. Y'all smoked cigarettes because you knew it, when you knew it caused cancer. Yes, we did. And that's only a speckle. It's a tiny little thing of the flaws that we are going to be judged for in 100 years. So before you point the finger at Andrew Jackson, maybe, just maybe, you should see in a couple years down the road when there's 10 fingers pointing at you, my friends. This is why we fight. This is what we must fight against. The destruction of our history. The destruction of our country. The destruction of the things that made us America. The United States of America. It's so sad to see all this happening, but I can't be shocked anymore. I just can't be. Well, this episode's definitely going to get me canceled. Hi, Jack, if you're listening, God bless you. He's going to be like, man, the first half of this episode, you were decent. Last half, you're definitely not getting elected to anything if I ever decide to run for anything. Screw it. I never thought I was going to win anyway, because I believe in freedom. And the Republican Party, the Democrats, the liberals, they don't want that anymore. They want absolute control of the American people. It has been an honor to film this episode. I love this episode. This was fantastic. Who thought I would knock a banger out of an episode at 4 a.m? I didn't. That was a good one. But y'all don't want to hear me brag about myself. 20 years, you can say that, man, Harrison was egotistical. But yeah, no, the stupidity of the left is never ending. They like to take strides with it. But wake up. Fight back. Do not be a voter once every 4 years. We'll take back America with a presidency. America has a much deeper problem than that. Corruption on large scales. People that shouldn't be in office being in office. The government has went long enough without the checks and balances that is the American people. Only we can stop this. Only we can pass it so it doesn't get this bad again. Pass amendments so it doesn't get this bad again. Put in place things that we do to make sure the government doesn't get this bad again. Because if we don't fight now, we're not going to get a chance to ever fight again. Think about it. We're in a pretty rough place. And if we don't fight now, we might as well not fight at all. Because the America that you grew up with, the America that I only had a taste of, is gone forever. And I don't want that for my kids. I don't want that for my grandkids, my great-grandkids. I want them to inherit the America that I was supposed to inherit. The land of the free and the home of the brave. Thank you guys for watching this episode of the Conservative Colonel Podcast. I ask that you share this episode out. It's probably best that I was alone for this episode so I don't get some of my guests canceled with me. God bless them. These are my views and opinions. Hi, everybody. They're probably cussing me out. Yeah, I'm going to get calls about this tomorrow. And honestly, no, it's staying up. I hate to tell you, I stand by what I said. I might regret that in a couple years if I do run for office. But, Chris said he regretted stuff that he said on the old Right Side Radio. Not regretted, but it came back to haunt him. This is my haunting episode. Oh, it's been a blast. Who wants to be a part of that clique anyway up there at Jackson or DC? Piss on them. All right. Share this episode out. Make sure you get ready for the 25th episode of the Conservative Colonel Podcast, where if you thought this was bad, just wait. There's more. July 4th at 9 a.m., I'll have independent historian and author on, Ryan S. Walters, where we are going to critique and really dive into some controversial stuff. It's going to be a blast. It's a bit more tied to some of my historical people, but I think every American can find something in it because we do talk about real conservatism, the Electoral College, the Constitution, and really the role of government. I think we did a great job in viewpointing what the government is supposed to be in that episode, and I would love to get Ryan back on to really dive on this again with a set agenda. We kind of had an idea going in what we wanted to talk about, but me and Ryan both like to talk, so we kind of jumped around a bit more. But, I think we knocked it out of the park. I knocked it out of the park with this one. I think, actually, that 25th episode is a grand slam. It's going to be fantastic when that hits airways. I can't wait. But, yeah, share this out, and I will see y'all next Thursday. God bless America, and God bless Mississippi.